Alright, so this is going to be season 41. It's season 42 right now. I just didn't upload it last month. I was a little busy. This is not going to be in detail at all. I used pure blue eyes. I did not play with primite last month. I don't recommend that, but I'll talk about this a little bit. So when you're playing pure blue eyes, you do get an advantage, I suppose. Also, obviously, these cards were at 3, and now they've been hit since then. That's pretty easy to fix. I'd add a Neo Kaiser, and then I'd add Piri Res Map. I don't know how to spell Piri Res Map, honestly. I think it's Raise Map. There we go. Piri Raise Map. This is what I do after the hits. I think you can play more than 40. I really like playing 40. I like it to be more consistent. I'm just going to talk about this real quick. So when you're playing pure, I'm going to assume this is the list you're playing because obviously this is after the ban list. And I don't think it's super relevant to talk about it how it was before, when there's been a ban list since then. So when you're playing pure, in my experience, actually, the difference in power between, like, pure and the primite version is much more relevant in the mirror match. Because I think that Blue Eyes is inherently a pretty grindy deck because you play based off of True Light, and being able to recycle your stuff is really powerful. But the primate cards on top of that, and in my experience, when you played in the mirror match, the primate cards were really powerful in how they recycle, and more importantly, the banish is insane against the True Light itself, where they'll cut off your resources in a way you can't do the same to them because of their negate banish. That's pretty relevant. It wasn't, like, unwinnable, but it was a matchup that, having played Blue Eyes Primite and Pure Blue Eyes, that was the biggest matchup is the mirror match for what will be worse. But honestly, the matchup tends to be pretty coin flip dependent anyways. Where going first is really good. Obviously, Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon is good against the Primite cards when the Barrel Dragon tries to come back. So it's kind of... I didn't think it was the end of the world, but it was the matchup where I most noticed, oh my gosh, I really want the primate cards send help. Everything else tended to be whatever. So in this version, play 2 Blue Eyes. You want to minimize bricks. I'll go over to bricks real quick. The cards that you don't really want to draw, which is of course 2 Blue Eyes, Majesty, True Light, Roar, and Mausoleum. I'm not playing Ultimate Fusion. If you do want to play Ultimate Fusion, I don't think it's a bad card, to be clear. However, I don't think it's good enough in a deck that's already playing a bunch of cards you don't really want to draw. It's just another one of those cards. And the biggest thing that it does, which is gives you more targets for wishes, I think is fixed in the pure version by playing Bingo Machine Go. I actually really like Bingo Machine Go, and I was considering it in Blue Eyes Primite because it's a card you can search for wishes, and sometimes wishes being dead later, like even if you're just searching a Sage, can be a big deal. But, you know... the pops on Majesty are really good, and the fact it can be reset off of Tyrant Dragon, I think, is also very important. Roar, being able to get a Blue Eyes or a Blue Eyes Jet Dragon from your deck. Another card you don't want to draw, by the way. Drawing it's not terrible, in conjunction with, like, a Wishes if you have combo. That's another thing, is that Bingo Machine Go makes discarding one of your, like, garnets, like, actually feel, like, good. When you're discarding a Jet Dragon or a Blue Eyes White Dragon, Wishes feels good. In a way it doesn't when you need to discard a card you like. So, there's that. I was playing Jet Dragon. The real reason I was playing Jet Dragon is because you'll notice this is royal rare. I think it's very nice. It's very pretty. So I didn't have a choice. I had to play it. And I think in the pure version, I think it's good enough to play in the pure version, and that you want a little bit of extra power, especially against the primite version, and that Jet Dragon gives you a little bit of extra grind. I could see playing 2 of them in a world where I didn't want to play as many hand traps as possible. However, I do not live in that world. You kind of need the hand traps. Because the deck, I don't think the deck can push through a crazy amount going second. I'll talk about engine next. So playing Sage with Eyes of Blue. For Sage and Maiden of White, you want to play as many as you can. Piri-Res map is here to obviously search Sage, and then you normal summon Sage after that. We don't get any problems with Piri-Res and Barrel Dragon because we aren't playing Primite cards, which is nice. I think you could argue about playing more Piri-Res map, and I think that would make sense. Bingo Machine Go is so that we open with wishes for Eyes of Blue more often. And that's it. Sometimes you reveal 3, so you can reveal like Jet, Blue Eyes. If you want a good discard for your wishes for Eyes of Blue, that can be relevant. And sometimes just being able to get a Blue Eyes engraved. Honestly, when you're playing Bingo Machine Go, I think it can be worth it to play 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons just in order to be able to get 1 guaranteed into your hand if you don't have 1 in hand off of Bingo Machine Go. I think that's like questionable if you want that all the time, but I think that's a consideration. Sage obviously searches Veiler or a Maiden of White depending on the game state. A Maiden of White is just here to get True Light and to bring itself back every time you special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon. Very powerful. Sometimes you have both of them. You can like normal summon, get Mausoleum, and then activate the other one from hand. Just a lot you can do here. And already talked about these. Wishes, obviously you search whatever you have. Sometimes you drew both Majesty and Roar in like the Primite deck in my experience, and you have this awkward moment where you have to search True Light with Wishes just so that you can get the search off of Wishes at all. And this deck doesn't have this problem because you just search Bingo Machine Go. Is it as good as searching these 2? No, but also it is a search target for Wishes, so you're way less likely to not have a search target in deck. In fact, I think in a 5-card hand, you have Wishes, 3 Bingo Machine Go. Like, you cannot have too many cards in hand. And then Call by the Grave. We really can't. Ash resolving on Wishes is like a death sentence, and that's what Call by the Graves. I think you could argue putting in Crossout Designator for exactly the same reason. Also, this deck tends to, this version of the deck tends to have more hands that I don't think play super phenomenally around specifically Max C, and it's a little weaker to drool with Bingo Machine Go and Piri-Res map. At least how I currently have it here. This is how I'd probably play Pure. I don't recommend playing Pure, by the way. And then we'll talk non-engine real quick. We're playing 3 Veiler. It's searchable off of both Sage and Wishes. Ogre is good against other Blue Eyes players. And I found usually has a place. Like being able to Ogre a Desiree works. Ogre's flexible enough to be like comfortable in the main deck. Maxi is Maxi. You want to draw cards. Your opponent does less of a combo if they don't negate it. Ash negates Maxi, can negate key combo points sometimes. You kind of need multiple hand traps though, so keep that in mind. Ash and Purge are both ones that usually by themselves aren't good enough. Same with Imperm and Veiler. You kind of just need multiples of them. And this one's playing 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16, 17. 17 hand traps is like you're likely to see 2. For the extra deck, I played 2 Tyrant, 2 Neo Ultimate because you kind of are expecting to resolve Wishes more than once, or hoping to at least. and using the graveyard effect to equip a second Neo ultimate and make a second Tyrant Dragon is really powerful. On turn 1, I like putting Tyrant Dragon in grave, especially if I can only make one Blue-Eyed Spirit Dragon in order to set up so that Ultimate Spirit Dragon can revive it when it gets destroyed at the end of a turn. I played Black Moonlight Dragon to bounce. I'm realizing this extra deck was made before our new friend was released. I can't remember what the Synchro 9 is called. That destroys spells and traps, but I would play that. Synchro Dragon 9 should bring it up. Yeah, I would play it like this. And then on turn 1, I just wouldn't make the Tyrant Dragon. You could cut the Black Rose. This very rarely came up, but it did come up, and it won me games when it did. I played 3 Blue-Eyed Spirit Dragons on turn 1s. It's not infrequent that you can make 2, and when you can make 2, you have a really powerful setup. Baron occasionally comes up, usually on follow-up turns. And when it does, it can be, like, super important to help, like, break your opponent's board after they, like, semi-broke yours. I'm playing the Crimson Cipher package. Sometimes if my opponent has suspiciously not hand-trapped me, I will just go, screw it. During the end phase, I'm gonna go both Spirit Dragons into Cipher Ultimate Dragon, in case they're gonna, like, start with Duster. But even if they do start Duster, you can just, like, generally holding Purge in hand is good unless you also have Ash. So usually a Duster just takes up a Spirit Dragon effect. But if they have a quick effect, that could also be awkward. But I like these and holding them for the bounce or spell trap thing. Or on your opponent's turn, getting to negate a graveyard effect and then go into the Ultimate Spirit plus, the Cipher on your opponent's turn. That's even crazier than doing it on your turn, because you could potentially get, like, a billion like 4 negates out of Spirit Dragons that way. Baron, you usually make it off of, like, a Spirit Dragon you brought off of Ultimate Spirit, or you'll have just a point where you have, like, Neo Kaiser, target Maiden of White, make it level 2, special summon a Blue Eyes, make Baron off of that. Spirit with Eyes of Blue, obviously searches a field spell, use it to normal summon again, search, special summon Blue Eyes. I found 3 wasn't necessary, and then Heroic Seals is the last card. Yeah, I think this deck is a bit weaker to Max C than I would want it to be, which I think is completely fixed by the Primite cards. It's also a little less grindy than the Primite version. But I don't think the deck is bad. I just wouldn't want to play it over the Primate version. Neo Kaiser Seahorse is a little awkward, but is an extender that also dumps Jet Dragon, which is why I think it's worth playing. Because it helps in hands that are good. Frequently in this deck list, by the way, where I told you I would go for Ultimate Spirit and Cipher, I'd be able to end on, like, a Jet Dragon using, like, a Roar while Blue Eyes was on the field, or the hand effective Sage with Eyes of Blue. And those are both super relevant and came up frequently enough for me that I think it's worth mentioning. Yeah, I enjoyed Blue Eyes. It's just notably difficult for the mirror match. Alright, hopefully you enjoyed me rambling about Season 41. And you like my on-the-fly restructured version of my deck. How it was at the very beginning, I believe, is how it was, period. But obviously that's irrelevant. There's a ban list that's been since then. There's been new cards. So I don't want to talk too much about a version of the deck that's completely irrelevant now. Alright, bye.